Hey there, in today's video, I am just walking you through a few ways to get started. I use the ideas of how we've prepped our pages in the past to help inform what we do next. And I'm not talking about completed projects necessarily, although once you get started, it's super hard to stop. But I am just talking about, okay, how do I begin? What do I need to do next? Because often that it is just so hard. It's like, oh, I want to go make art. I love making art, but I just don't know what to do. So I'm just walking you through some simple ideas. If you have a blank page, if you have a collage page, if you have a page that you have used to use up your paint, just to show you how simple it is to take the next step. So, and beyond that, that is up to you. Like, that is on you. Once you get started, then you get to decide your next steps. You get to decide what you're going to do next. But I'm just showing you some ways like, let's just loosen up. Let's just kind of, it's like shooting free throws before you actually are playing the basketball game, right? It's like you have to do some warm-ups, some things to get you going. And this is, there's all kinds of warm-ups, but this is just like grab a pencil, grab paint, pick a color, and get started. Because honestly, I just want to encourage you to take the next step and not to worry about the end result, because it's all part of the process. So if anything, I just want to encourage you to keep on, keep trying, keep exploring. Don't be afraid, because the next thing you do is going to lead to the next thing and lead to the next thing. But before you can get to the next thing, you have to actually start. So good luck today. I hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for watching. We're going to pretend that, well, we're not pretending. It is a white page. That's where we're going to start. And if I had a white page like this, which honestly, you guys, I rarely do, because I am always doing one of the other ideas about prepping my surface. And I suppose, let's say I prepped it with clear gesso, or which I'm not sure I would do that with a white page, or white gesso, then it would be white. So if I were to approach it like this, or white piece of paper, or whatever it is, canvas, I probably would think to myself, this is the time to be bold. And we're going to pretend like I'm not going to use paints, or maybe I'm watching something and I just want to get something on here. How bold would I be? Well, I might start with like these chunky charcoal pieces, the Derwent charcoal. Let me just grab one, and like I might just do that. Right? So immediately there is something super cool. Then maybe I take these graphite and I do something like this, just to get something, whatever feels good. Then maybe I take the woody, let's take a color that I may not use as often, and just kind of do this. So immediately, look, okay, there we go. Immediately right out of the gate, we have something going on. I can come back later to this. I have started. Okay, I don't like this necessarily, but that's okay, because it's the starting place. So I'm going to take some black charcoal, and I'm going to see what else feels good. I'm going to do some lines like that. There's nothing up here. Let's do this. So, wow, looks like a bunch of scribbles, but if I were to come in later, maybe with some white paint, with something to edit out the different areas that I don't like, it could become the beginning of something. I do no longer have the white canvas, the white page, whatever it happens to be. Let's do one more of these. Another idea would be to, let's take some oil pastels, possibly some colors that we wouldn't normally use. Now, I could do, again, some scribbly marks like that, so just be crazy with it, just yay, yay. Or I could take let's grab some other ones over here. Sorry, they're out of view. I could just swatch. That's another good way to start. I'm just going to swatch these colors. Oh, I like that color. Slate gray. It looks more blue. Too pink for me. Let me just grab some more. Okay. And they just are creamy, and they're going on here nicely. I could turn these blocks. I could make them bigger. I could make them smaller. I could make little tick marks, which is always a favorite. I could grab another color over here and do lines and stripes. Whatever, and immediately I have something. Now I will say, with the oil pastels, when you put acrylic over them, that a lot of that was going to bleed through because of the nature of mixing the two. I actually like that. Many people will tell you that you shouldn't do that, but I say if you're experimenting and messing around, go for it. So that, to me, that's an easy way to get started. Let me see if I can find one more white page. Here's one. So let's just say you don't want to be quite so crazy. You want to kind of back off. So let's see, I'm going to be less crazy this time. I'm just going to take some green, and I'm just going to make some marks that I like. And I'm not going to just, because maybe it scares me too much to go nuts like that. So I don't have to be crazy. I can do things, even me, I can not be crazy. So let's just say I have some big marks. I'm going to just do some smaller marks down here. And just kind of mix it up, light and dark. Well, obviously I'm doing mostly dark, but small and big. And let's say I want to add a little bit of lighter color, but some color. So let's grab this yellow, and I'm using the sides just to kind of put some color in. And there you go. So right out of the gate, I have a lot going on here. I could add some water to it. Let's see if I can grab a brush over here that doesn't have anything on it. Wasn't planning to do this, but I was planning to keep it just dry materials. But these dry materials, they can be used with water, and you could spray it with your water, your spray bottle. You could do what I'm doing, using a brush to kind of fill it in and make the colors not so they won't move around anymore, is what I'm trying to say. Not so water soluble. So anyway, right out of the gate, we've kind of created a cooler thing. So here's the thing: you can go crazy and go nuts, or you can just be more subtle and just put something down. Then what I would recommend is, here's what I do. I would walk away from it, and I would say, okay, I'm going to come back to this later, and I'm going to respond to it. So I might take something like, let's say I want to do a bunch of these, and I'm starting, pretend this is white. But to me, this is a blank page, even though it's a book paper. I would do the same thing on this. I would just make some marks, and then I would set it aside, and I might come back in later and go, oh, I'm going to color in these marks, and then I'm going to add some other things. Now, here's the thing, guys. I can't do the art for you. I can give you ideas for how to start. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Then you have to, it's up to you next. You got to come back and go, okay, what do I want to do with this page here? Do I want to add some white paint? Do I want to add a hit of dark up in the corner? Do I want to draw a flower or a mug over the top of it? Do I want to, or maybe a vase? So here's my vase, and maybe I'm doing some flowers over the top, and then this is my background. You get to decide. You have to take it to the next level. So I'm just giving you some ideas for how to start, but you have to do the hard work. You have to do the hard stuff, which is taking it from this background to the next level, to what it is that's inside you that wants to come out. What kind of art do you want to make? Do you want to make shapes? Do you want to make blocks of color? Do you want to make a vase with flowers, or a mug, or a portrait? That's what you get to decide. But I'm telling you, it is a lot easier when you're not starting on a white or plain background. So, okay, I'm going to show you, we're going to do another one. Now we're starting with, last time we had the blank page, and this time we are starting with the collage that I talked about before, like how to prep your pages. In that video, I talked about the different ways I begin. I get my pages ready. And so one of the ways is, let's just say we already prepped this page. We put collage paper down. I used up a bunch of different collage. Now, some people might say, well, this looks fine on it in and of itself. But honestly, for me, it's a little too, I don't know. It's fine, but it's not great. So I'm going to so I took some colors that are very similar. I took a white, a Titan buff, a Payne's gray, a black, and a brown. I don't know, I'm just going to add a few things. I'm just going to show you how I would start when I already had a collage page that I thought was okay, but not great. So first off, I might say, okay, I will suggest that when you're doing this, sometimes do not start. I've talked about this before. The tendency is, I'm going to get this teeny tiny little brush. Oh, look at how cute that is, a little teeny tiny. We're not going to start with that, because here's the thing. What we do is we go, oh, I'm going to have this little paintbrush, and I'm going to go just like this. Okay, that's not a great way to start, because that's really timid, and we're just, wow. That doesn't feel like we're going to really move into the piece. It feels like we're scared. We kind of like this. If you like it, that's fine. Just leave it. It's okay. It's just an art journal page. It doesn't really matter. But I would suggest if you like it and it's okay, that maybe you do something bold. So for me, this feels a little bit dark, even though I like dark and I like neutrals and I like a limited, well, not just a limited palette, but like I do not like real high contrast, even though I do like black and white. So I'm going to be a little bold here. I'm going to grab a little bit of white and maybe a little bit of this brown and just kind of mix a lighter color. And I just want to see what happens. I'm going to be bold. Okay. So, because here's the thing, I can go get a bunch of paper and do another collage. Maybe it won't look exactly like this, but I can do this all day long because like myself, like you, we have all kinds of collage papers. That is not the problem. We typically all have way too many of these kind of things. It's that we don't do anything with them. They're in stacks. So I could recreate something similar to this. So I'm thinking, let's go bold. Let's just really kind of, let's be crazy. And so I have one marked down. Already I like it better just by adding in this bold piece. Now, what I don't like, and a lot of times, people will tape off their edge. So I guess if you wanted it to have that taped off edge look, the border, but the border to me here isn't even, and I don't actually like it in this case. So I'm going to maybe take a brown, and I'm not doing a finished piece here. This is just, I'm just getting started, and then I get to come back and react to it. So I'm taking a little bit of that Payne's gray and making kind of a coolish color. And I'm going to go around the edge and that makes it feel a little bit more, I don't know, not finished, but I guess if it was a piece of paper and I had, evenly marked it off, but this feels really uneven and it just doesn't feel finished. It feels like, oh, your piece of paper stops right there versus, maybe because it's collage. Okay, so I like that better. And I'm not going to go crazy on this because here's the thing. This is just my first mark, but I want to have, okay, so it's kind of down here. Maybe I want to have something up here to kind of, and I can always change it. It doesn't have to be like this exact way. And so that's how I would respond to this page. Simple as that. A few marks. I'll probably come back in. Maybe I pick pieces and parts that I like or don't like. I might come in and darken areas, lighten areas. It could be that I lose the collage altogether. But here's what I will say. Do you see all these cool little marks here? Amazing. To me, that is the whole point of the collage. Not necessarily that I get to see all these bits and pieces, which are amazing, but those little pieces, you can't make that up, right? You can't paint that. Where the little edge doesn't quite match and there's always this texture underneath. It's very difficult to create that unless you're starting on collage paper. So yeah, that's why I love working on collage, because it's just like, I can just come in here and just go crazy knowing that I have more collage paper where that came from. So I can do this all day long. And then you can practice like, oh, I like this shape or I like that shape, or I want to use these colors, however it works for you. So we're going to do one more. Here is a page that I have cleaned my paintbrush off. Love having this to start with because it doesn't matter. And these are the great things, but it's not white. And so these colors underneath may show through at some level. They may be completely obliterated. It just depends on how far I take this. Now, I will say, I know that I've talked a lot about just doing this in an art journal or on random pieces of paper, but I also do this on canvases that I have that are ready to go. I'm kind of sitting off to the side and I'll just clean my brush off on them. And sometimes, honestly, I like the way that looks better than thinking, why didn't I just leave that? I like how I did that. Anyway, okay, I'm just using the same paints that I had from before. And so you get to choose what colors you want to use and how you want to react to this. So for example, let's say you look at this and you go, hey, I kind of like this, I'm trying to think what color to call that. It's not burnt sienna, raw sienna maybe color, brownish. So I want to work around that, or I don't like any of it, this kind of, but you get to choose. Like if there's parts that you want to keep or parts that you don't. So let's just say, okay, I'm just going to go for it. Let's just say I really don't like most of it. So I'm going to do kind of a, just on this, I'm using the side of my brush, which I don't know if people really do that, but I I do. Okay, so we're going to start with a, you know, I'm trying to be bold, although I feel like I'm being a little bit timid. And maybe here's the thing. I get to decide, and so do you. So don't worry if you don't end up liking it. So I'm just going to go over this, and I want some of it to show, but I just kind of want to be crazy. And then you're thinking, well, you just kind of are getting rid of all of it. Yeah, but at the same time, I can see that green. I can see some of those colors. So you get to decide. If you like some of that, keep it. If you don't, well, paint right over it. It is just paint. And I'm going to tell you, I often get scared that it's just paint because I think, oh my gosh, I just spent X amount on that paint, or I don't want to waste it. I have a real problem with holding on to things that I feel like are valuable because I don't feel like I should be able to use those things. And I have to really push against that. And I have to really, and that doesn't mean that I want to go crazy or nuts, but it does mean that if I'm painting and I have a paint tube over there that has been sitting because I feel like it costs too much to use, I already bought it. So really, I need to use it. But I do understand that feeling. So anyway, I went off on a tangent there. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're just responding, and I'm going to do a couple marks here. And then I'm going to call it, I'm going to do something up there because then I can come back and decide if this is what I like. Simple as that. I kind of, maybe, you know, here's a problem. Then you get started and you don't want to stop. And there is nothing wrong with that. But I kind of like this cloudy kind of look with the other colors coming through. So yeah, okay. And then I can set this aside, let it dry, and come back. So I have responded to a pre-painted one that I clean my paintbrushes off, but look at the cool colors that are popping through. And that would not have happened if I had started on a white surface because I wouldn't have those other colors down. And I wouldn't have thought, oh, I'm going to paint a little bit of that color and then paint over it. So that's the beauty of cleaning. Like when I clean these off, those will be the start of the next thing I paint. The other thing I want to mention is sometimes it's super cool to use colors that, like for me, sometimes I'm just like, I got to use this paint up. I'll use up like a red or something because it makes, let me show you, oh, I don't have it handy. Because it makes it comes through in a cool way, which normally I wouldn't use red, for example, as much, but the color of it that comes through can create a beautiful effect, and it can add depth to your painting, to whatever it is that you're making, in a way that you couldn't by just putting like a little dollop of it on there. So anyway, I hope these ideas help you get started. I know overcoming the first thing is just the hardest. Like just sometimes squirting the paint out is the hardest part, or grabbing a pencil is the hardest part. So I would encourage you, grab your supplies and get started because there's nothing but joy ahead. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.